All right, guys, welcome to the Real Momentum Podcast. I'm Joe Herrera, and I am joined by Vanessa and Ashley. I'm still getting to know them, which is fun. I want to hear their story. I want to hear more about them. I think they were friends that became top producing real estate agents. And the purpose of this podcast is just to talk about what people are doing in the real estate space that's helping them to achieve their goals. And I think so few people set goals, and even fewer eventually end up reaching them. And so I think for you guys, it's going to be cool to hear how you got into the industry, how you're finding your, what I like to call product market fit, like how you're finding your process for achieving your goals. And so we'll just go ahead and get started. Good morning.
Good morning.
So tell us a little bit about you guys. Where are you guys from? How did you get to know each other? All that fun stuff.
Okay. We are from Southern California, and we kind of have a funny story of how we met. We grew up in the same area and we went to the same high school, but didn't necessarily know each other. And we ended up dating the same guy just at a different time period.
That's awesome.
Not at the same time.
Right. So she knew of me because she likes to remind me that I'm 2 years older than her. So I dated him first, then she dated him. So she knew of me, but I didn't necessarily know her. And we randomly, years later in a bookstore, we saw each other. And she looked very familiar to me. I guess she knew who I was. But it wasn't until church that she walked in and I was like, hey, that's the lady from the bookstore.
And our kids are all the same ages. So our kids through church became friends. And then we just really hit it off from day one and have been best friends ever since.
So did anybody marry this guy?
No.
Dang it. That would have been awesome.
We're still good friends with him though.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
So what part of Southern California did you guys grow up in?
So we're just an hour north of San Diego, an hour east of Orange County.
Like the Inland Empire area.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Like Redlands or?
Murrieta, Temecula.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
In Riverside County.
So you guys could take it one at a time. How did you end up in real estate?
Okay, I'll start. So I have always loved real estate. I think a lot of us women, at least, remember walking model homes as a kid with our parents, on Sunday afternoons. It was one of my favorite things. In college, I took some real estate courses, interior design courses, always loved them, but I never really had a huge desire to be this career-minded businesswoman. I was always more family focused. And so I had that season of my life where I was having children. I have 5 and I had really difficult pregnancies. So it was a long season of bearing children and sickness. And when that time in my life, that door closed, I knew I was done having kids. They were all getting a little bit older. I started to have this desire to want something more for myself. But I also wanted to have the opportunity to still be home with my kids as much as possible. And so when I was thinking about what I enjoyed and what would give me the best opportunity to also still be a great mom, real estate came to mind. And I was like, I think I could be really good at this. I love it. It's very flexible. I could be home when I needed to. And I mentioned it to her. And I said, I think I would really like to get my real estate license. And she's like, oh my goodness, I've always wanted to do that. And so we were just like, well, let's do it together. And so we did. From day one, we signed up for school, studied together, did our tests together, and all of our training just from day one. And it has turned out to be a huge blessing in our family's lives and in our lives, and just kind of finding ourselves again outside of motherhood, using our intellect and our brains in a little bit a different way. So.
And what do your spouses do for a living?
My husband is Orange County Sheriff Deputy.
Oh, awesome.
And my husband has always kind of been in sales, an entrepreneur. He has his own business. I call it, it's like a Pimp My Ride car shop in the He does like lifts and wheels and tires and tint and audio and all the fun things that everybody loves to deck out their cars. He's your guy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Right now is a great time to be doing that for sure.
Yeah, it would be nice to have all of the parts to be able to be shipped in. But yeah, it's doing good.
Now, how about you? How did you, I mean, other than her getting into it, what kind of led to your real estate journey?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to her. You know, you're birthing babies and you're kind of getting, you know, the mundane things. And I just felt like I wanted more. And like I said, my husband's a cop, so this is how much you're going to make, right? So I knew that if we wanted anything extra, it needed to be from me. And so I dabbled in various things. I built a pretty successful makeup business. And so I just kind of carried over those skills and talents that I had from that and kind of put it into this career. And when she came to me, I was like, 100% I'm in. Yes.
That's awesome. So what company did you guys choose coming? And when was this? How long have you been in the industry?
So we've been licensed just over 2 years.
Wow. Okay. So where did you guys hang your license?
We started with Coldwell Banker. We did all our training there, which was really great training. Yeah. But you definitely paid for it in commission splits and franchise fees and all that good stuff. So yeah, we had really good connections there. And we ended up going to Realty One, which we had no problems there, but there was no collaboration. There was no one really to go to. So we just decided that Real was the best place for us.
That Real's model has always been what we envisioned from the get-go. I do kind of describe it similar to like an MLM a little bit, just to like simplify how it works. And because, you know, she comes from a background of that and she built a great team and was very successful in that and the whole social media aspect of it. So we were really excited when the opportunity of Real was presented to us, because that was always what we kind of envisioned. And so now we're here. We found our forever home and we're super excited about it.
That's great. So talk a little bit about getting into the industry. What were the struggles? Like what came easy? What came hard? How do you guys, you know, production wise, what does 2021 look like for you as far as units and stuff like that? Tell us about the grind. What have you guys had to fight through?
So, I mean, we both kind of have our own stories about getting started. I originally, when I first got my license, I was kind of motivated by, we had just bought in what we thought at the time was our dream house on 10 acres on a hill. And
wow. Sounds like my wife's dream house.
Yeah. Yeah. And it had needed a lot of landscaping and pool and all the things. And I thought, you know what, I'm really going to make the money to put in this dream yard for my kids. And then we had some trials come into our lives, very unexpected trials, and was a massive financial burden on our family. And so my work went from luxury to necessity.
Yeah.
And shortly after, it's funny too, because I got into it finally realizing like, okay, all my kids will be like in school, right? Preschool was my youngest, but then COVID hit.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, all 5 of my kids were home when I was just getting my real estate business going and trying to work. And of course, we're in California. So our kids were literally at home for 18 months, like did an entire school year of virtual learning when we were like getting our business up and running. So we did it with 9 kids doing in 8 different grades and, you know, all of the COVID restrictions. So that, you know, that was in and of itself a challenge.
A challenge, yeah, for sure.
Yes, but we overcame it. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, like high five to us. Like we really made it happen. And despite all the things and obstacles that got put in our path, like we just overcame it and we made it work and we figured it out. And that's one of the beauty of our partnership and why we went into it as 50-50, so that we could kind of tag team, you know, when when I had stuff going on, she could, you know, handle things and vice versa. And yeah, do you have something to add to?
No, I think that's it. I mean, we honestly just leaned on each other. We tried to be really resilient and focus on what was most important. And I feel like, you know, the things that you focus on grow. And so if you look for the good in the situation, you're going to find the good and continue in that. So that's kind of what we tried to do moving forward with our business, with 9 kids in tow. So,
so you guys are a 50-50 partnership.
We are.
It's so rare. So my partner Taylor and I are 50-50 partners, and I
Are
think a
you
lot of people, yeah. So we're a rare breed.
yes.
And I think it can work just like a marriage.
Yeah.
I used to teach an early morning religion class, and I would always tell my kids, in a partnership, you got to look for 3 things. You know, you have to enjoy the person. They have to be independent enough, and then they can't be too crazy. You know, like those 3 things are super important. And so I think it's rare to find a partnership that works over the long haul. I think people, they downplay the importance of spouses. So talk about that for a minute, because it's impossible for you guys to have a month where you equally produce. So how do your spouses juggle that when you guys say, hey, we're in this together, we're 50-50, and one month one of you closes 3 deals and the other one closes 1? How do you guys handle those conversations?
Well, I think with our partnership, it's just kind of like a give and take. We never really say like, oh, I close this many deals and you close this many deals.
Right.
It's just our deals,
Always,
you know,
our deals.
And we tell people all the time, you can't be really ticky tacky. You can't be, you know, nickel and diming each other. It's just kind of, when I can give 100%, like I'm going to give 100%, you know?
And same.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is, like you said, it's like a marriage, you know, like both partners have to give 100% all the time. And there's going to be times where, you know, it's a little bit difficult for me and she kind of picks up the slack, and vice versa. It's difficult for her, so I pick up the slack. And yeah, definitely not ticky tacky. Like, oh, well, I spent 4 hours here and you only did 1 hour. There's none of that. It's just an equal respect. And we're both hard workers, and we put our, you know, heads down and grind when we need to, and give each other grace when we've got stuff going on. So it's been a beautiful partnership.
Yep.
That's awesome. So talk about your team construction. You guys have a couple of agents that you work with, or is it just you 2, or do you have buyer's agents now? Like, how does that work?
So it's just the 2 of us as far as like a local team. But we have, you know, kind of created what we call the CEO circle, for what we're branding to grow our team nationally with Real. And we have partnered with a couple of agents in Arizona, and also, you know, Spring in Utah.
Yep.
A huge inspiration for us.
She's amazing.
And so, yeah, we have a passion to genuinely help other women, especially mothers, that, you know, you can have success and make an income and still be a great mom. And there are times and seasons in life where, you know, maybe you're putting a little bit more into one hat that you're wearing than the other, and things move along that way. But we're super excited to grow nationally and help women and train women. We wrote a course for new agents to help them get started, literal step-by-step guide from licensing all the way to your first commission check, and then repeat the process for each transaction, from the listing side, from the buyer side. And, you know, I think a lot of our traits as mothers comes into play when teaching other agents, because, you know, we're specific, we're detailed. We understand what it means to have to like repeat yourself sometimes and kind of explain it again, and are considerate to those, emotions of embarrassment, like, oh, what do I do next? Like, I'm not sure
Right.
what to ask or where to go, or like, I'm sorry, I'm asking you this again. Like, how do I do this? And it's actually just really exciting to kind of become that mentor that maybe we didn't necessarily have at the beginning.
Yeah.
So, you know what I think is really interesting in the real estate space? Guys like me are a dime a dozen. Like, I'm probably not as cool as I make myself sound. I'm probably not as smart. I'm probably not as successful. I think the inverse actually exists with women in real estate, where there's almost a humility. Like, I think most women that I know that are real estate agents are amazing. But I think they're reluctant to talk about it, or they're reluctant to take action around it. And I think it's inspirational. I think it's awesome for people to stand up, for women to stand up and say, no, I actually have something really cool, and I've done something really cool, and I built something really cool. And it's so gravitational. Like, you talk about spring is awesome. And she's willing to share the parts of her life that make her successful. And I think women really gravitate towards that. And I've just kind of over time figured out, like, men are so willing to hop on a stage. They're so willing to create a company. They're so willing with nothing behind it, just be something, you know? But I think women, it's unique because there are women who are killing it, but then they're reluctant to actually get up and broadcast it to the world. And so I think what you guys are doing is amazing, because I think you're saying, like, hey, we went through some stuff, we figured some stuff out. Now we want to help other women go through that exact same thing. So I have no doubt the gravitational nature of that's going to be amazing. So since kind of coming up with this concept and things like that, what kind of conversations are you having with women that are reaching out to you to say, like, hey, I need help, or I want to go down that journey that you guys have gone down?
Well, I think we've had a lot of women just say, like, what did you do? How did you get started? Like, I've been thinking about this forever. And I think it's very important for us to be able to add value to their lives and cheer them on and link arms with them and collaborate with them. Because I think a lot of times, you know, especially in the beginning, when you're coming out of just, you know, head down raising children, it's kind of like, what else is going on in the world? You know, like, who can I talk to? Who can help me?
Right.
You know? And so we want to be that for women. We want to be able to help them believe in themselves and give them more than, you know, maybe what they've been doing, kind of open their eyes. I think to bigger dreams. I think it's kind of like a gradual step to saying, okay, really, can I do this? What is out there? Is this a possibility? And I think as you kind of take baby steps towards that, you kind of have a bigger, broader perspective of what you can actually achieve, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I would assume that all agents, when they get started in the business, have to overcome those obstacles of your sphere of influence, friends and family, kind of like, do you really know what you're doing? But also from like a women's perspective, you know, I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, literally hadn't worked outside of the home in 12 years. And so on top of like being a newbie in the industry, I also felt like we had to again gain respect that we're capable of being businesswomen, that we're capable of knowing the industry and taking care of our clients. And it took some time to really build that trust with the people who knew us best, to be honest. Not that they didn't trust us or believe in us, but I think after a while, the conversations all of a sudden turned to people, you know, coming out of the woodworks and saying, wow, you guys like really made it happen. Like, I'm so impressed with like what you guys have accomplished and what you're doing and what you're creating in your space online. And that was really validating. And I feel like we can offer that to other women from the get-go, to have that validation and that support and that encouragement. Like, listen, we can do it. You can do it. Like, this is not like an extreme. I remember one time having a conversation. It was with a gentleman when I was thinking about getting my license. And, you know, he said, you know, I know your family is really important. Like, how are you going to do that? And I said, you know, I don't need to go out and make $1 million a year. And he said, well, if that's not your goal, then I don't even know why you would get into it. And I was like, no, I think you can value all of it. Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm not just motivated by money.
Right.
I find like value in just helping others and being a part of their story and their life. Buying a house is so personal, unless it's like an investment, those clients it's all about
Sure.
the numbers, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's families and it's moving and it's a lifestyle and it's personal. And there's so much value and just like appreciation and gratitude to just be a part of that in people's lives and then grow from there. So yeah, go ahead.
No, and I think part of it is, I think what you guys have discovered is, so Gary Vaynerchuk, I don't know if you guys ever listen to Gary Vee, he's kind of a rough listen. I can't listen to him around my kids. But he talks about the importance of documentation over creation. And I think there's a lot of content creators out there in the real estate space, basically people who are just completely faking it. They'll see a Maserati that's not theirs and they'll take a picture with it to pretend like it is. And like, there's so much creation of fake.
Yeah.
And I think one thing you guys are doing really, really well is documenting your actual story and telling your actual story, because there's so much value in that. Like, there's that old saying, like, don't ever meet your heroes because like you'll be severely disappointed with who they actually are. And so I think one of the things that is going to blow your business up, and you've probably already seen it, is just you guys are so authentic and you're so real and you're so willing to share your struggles and you're so willing to share your successes. And I think the documentation of that is something that people are going to gravitate towards. So I guess the question I would have for you guys is how do you combat the fake? Like, the temptation will be to create fakeness around your business that doesn't really exist. Like, is that a struggle for you guys? Is that one of your core principles, is just documentation of reality? Or like, how do you battle that? Because I think we all fight it. I'd love to go take a picture of myself with the Lamborghini and say, like, this is what I made last week or whatever, but it would just be completely fake. So how do you combat the fake with reality?
Well, I think like a large part, obviously, of our business model is social media and running our business on Instagram and getting referrals and clients that way. And the older I get, the more I have realized that true connection comes from vulnerability. And we're not selling houses, we're selling us, right? People need to trust us. They want to be able to know us well enough to be willing to work with us.
Right.
And to get to know us, you have to be a little bit vulnerable, and you can't fake vulnerability. You have to be real and sharing, the good and the bad days and the struggles and the hard, and trying to be funny sometimes, and just being authentic with our friendship and our partnership. It's no secret that women sometimes have a hard time with friendships, right? It's difficult and then you add business to it, that sometimes could be more difficult. But I think our friendship and our business partnership is inspiring to others. So sharing that vulnerability connects us with clients.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. I had somebody ask me, do you ever have like imposter syndrome? And I kind of thought about that. For a minute. And I was like, no, because the thing is you have to put yourself out there. You have to believe in yourself more than others believe in yourself, sorry. So I think that looking at your skills and your talents and just getting started, I think a lot of people think like, how do you get the motivation? I think motivation is fleeting. I think it's just getting started and keeping with that momentum. And eventually you're going to get there, set those goals and keep the momentum going. And that kind of will help with combating that imposter syndrome, is just seeing what you want out of life. Why not you?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people, when they're trying to be inspired by what you're doing, people can also be inspired by sometimes the things that you haven't done, right? Like, yeah, great. We sold $12 million in real estate in 18 months. That's amazing, right? But we probably missed out on just as much, right? Like we missed out on listings for people that we thought, man, why didn't they choose us? Right. Or
we've been ghosted.
We've been ghosted, family members.
She's not calling me back.
Yeah. Family members who, didn't see your value or choose to use you,
Right.
People who want to save a buck, all those things. So it's sometimes inspiring to us when we see like really successful people in the industry and they say, yeah, I didn't get the listing that I wanted. I'm like, wow, it happens even to you. Okay. Then I'm doing okay. So.
And we try and put that out there and show both sides of the coin,
Yeah. So how does one gain confidence without experience? Like when you're meeting with newer agents getting into the industry, what's some of your advice around like, how does somebody gain, like I used to tell my wife, because I have a tendency for arrogance, and I would always say, if I don't believe in myself, how can I expect anybody else to? But there is a false confidence that comes with arrogance, but then there is a real confidence that comes with experience. So how do you guys mentor or coach around somebody who's brand new, insecure, worried about looking stupid, or worried about being vulnerable? Like what's some of your advice for anyone looking to get started in real estate, has been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years or 15 years and wants to get into how did you gain confidence?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question because there's a lot of insecure moments.
Yes.
I think that is one of the biggest blessings of our partnership is I've always had like a partner, right? Like I've never had to go into something by myself. I've never had to be the only face on social media. I've never, those hard conversations, we're kind of a yin and a yang. Like I'm really good at the back office paperwork. That's my jam. I love numbers. I love crunchy numbers. I don't love hard conversations or like venting bad news or like it gives, I'll have a little bit of anxiety about that, but she's much better at like handling those tough situations. And so it's like, oh, Vanessa, you call. So I think for me, and then obviously like our confidence, like you said, has grown with experience to say, we've done this, we know how to do this. But my biggest advice to somebody getting started to kind of combat that would be to partner with a great mentor, partner with somebody who's going to cheer you up. Like you have to surround yourself with those people that you want to be like, that are willing to share, that are willing to collaborate. And not everybody is. Right. Not everybody is in a space that they're willing to share their success and they're willing to share what works for them and what doesn't. But I think if you're going to be successful, you've got to partner with good mentors.
Yeah. And I also think like having a why are you doing this? Because I think if you have a strong why, you will be able to break through those, insecurities and those weak moments or you're nervous. But if you have a strong enough why, that will propel you forward to continue.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, talk about your day-to-day business. Where do your, what's your core source of business? Are you on Opcity? Are you on Zillow? Do you buy leads from Google? Are you purely social media, friends and family? How do you guys get your business?
Yeah. So our business model has always been like, not to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money. We're just now transitioning that growth of like needing to put more money into the business to grow. But at the beginning, we utilized all of the free options, right? Yes. Like marketing ourselves on social media, they're free platforms. So getting involved in Facebook groups,
family and friends.
Sphere of influence was huge.
Facebook
Marketplace. I think like 4 of our 8 siblings bought houses the first year. That was like random. And then we got referrals. People would send referrals our way. We're just getting set up on Opcity thanks to Spring and Rise. And we're super excited about that. And the referrals that we'll get, the leads we'll get that way. We actually already got our first referral through
Real.
Yeah, through Real from you actually. And we're super excited. We're taking photos on that listing today. And
awesome.
So I think just like as time goes on, you kind of snowball where your business is coming from, but
Right.
we started small and we were okay with that. And
Mhm.
as our business has grown, then we've grown into how much money we're putting into it.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then a new agent coming into the business, like what would you tell them? Like where should they be focusing? You know, like where, how did you guys capture your sphere of influence? Like, you know, what advice would you give to somebody brand new, just getting started? Like how can they accomplish what you guys have accomplished? I think partnership was one of the things you brought up, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what she said is just start small, start posting, start doing. I think a lot of times, you know, you sit back, you're like, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's, you know, so many different things that you can be doing. If you can really hone in on one or two things and focus on those things, and really put your all into that will make a big difference.
Yeah. And we did dabble in every avenue that people suggested, you know,
Yeah.
farming. I think we tried to like engage our kids in it. I remember
Right.
for several months we would do pop buys and we would have our kids like
running the neighborhood.
And I would say, if you see a Ring camera, just wave and say hi and be cute.
Yep.
And we had people, you know, calling just say, oh, that was so cute. I loved that. Thank you. You know, so
Right.
we dabbled in all of the things that people say, and then we just took note of what worked and what didn't, and then focused our energy on what was working. And realized
so now
that consumers are purchasing differently now. So I tend to think a lot how I consume as a buyer, right? Like I get stuff in the mail, it immediately goes in the trash. Nobody answers their doors. Like everybody has a camera, you know? So some of those old school methods that we were taught, I was like, yeah, that's not going to work for me because I don't buy like that. And not very many people do. And I think we attract kind of more of the wives and the moms in a clientele base, and they tend to be more of the decision makers anyway. So,
but I think you need to figure out your niche and who you're speaking to, who your client is. You know?
So
two questions. Like, how has your business been influenced by? Someday I would like to see the. Like I know in Vegas, square footage used to be square footage. Like if we went to list a home and it was 1,800 square feet and they haven't touched it in 10 years and their neighbor is 1,800 square feet and they just did a full remodel, there would be a little bit of adjustment for that. You know, like they would get a little bit more money that was remodeled, but nothing like what we see now. So how much has your business been influenced by the Property Brothers, Chip and Joanna Gaines of the world? Like how much of the remodel revolution, like how much of that bleeds into your business?
I mean, we say it all the time when we're advising listing clients, like on staging and the things that you can do to attract a buyer, because you know, we've seen the market shift a little bit, that homes are still having multiple offers, but it's the ones that look like the Chip and Joanna Gaines house. They're the ones that are going to have still multiple offers, which then drives the price up, right? Because they're competing. So I still definitely see a lot of that. Whereas the
homes that are dated are staying longer on market, not getting the multiple offers.
And it's hard in California. You know, a lot of homes need to be renovated, and it's disheartening to a lot of buyers to think, oh, I'm going to spend $1 million+ and this entire house needs to be renovated.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's super outdated from 2005.
So talk about, there's a reluctance in our industry for partnership. There's a reluctance in our industry for being on a team. Realty One Group started in Vegas, and it's nothing against them. They were big on the keep 100% of your commission, just pay a transaction fee. We owned 2 brokerages that were based on that same principle. Wow. What are you guys, you talked a little bit about your guys' value in partnership, but how are you guys advising around that topic of, I just want to be solo, I want to keep 100% of my commission? Like, what are some of your talking points you've been having with agents, or maybe your own experience behind finding value in team, finding value in partnership, finding value in collaboration?
So a couple things. I think it's a long game, a long vision, right? And also quality of life, and realizing that you can get very burnt out, just transaction after transaction after transaction.
Get stuck on that wheel.
And it's, as a single agent, it can be lonely, right? There's nobody to bounce ideas off of or vent to about a difficult client, right, or frustrations, whatever, there's a plethora of reasons for that. But for us, like, collaboration is huge. Mm-hmm. Just, all working together to help everybody be more successful. And I love the idea because, we originally looked at for a long time another brokerage very similar to the Real model. Mm-hmm.
The Voldemort of real estate.
Yep.
Vernacular. Yeah.
And, we met amazing agents over there. We never actually switched. There were some pain points that we never were able to address that worked well for our partnership. But there was also this idea of like collaboration, but only if you help me make more money. Like, if I'm not going to benefit off of what you're doing, then I don't want to be a part of that. Right. I don't like that. I'm not a greedy money machine person. Like, let's help each other. And I actually, one of your podcasts, you mentioned how even if somebody isn't necessarily like underneath you or on your team in Real, everybody's success in Real brings up the value of the brokerage, and your equity in it with your stocks then goes up. So it's in everybody's best interest for every agent in the brokerage to do well, to be successful. And that mindset is 100% motivating to us. Just collaborating and knowing that people are willing to share. We love that.
So with your move over to Real, and we'll kind of end on this, what was the deciding factor for you? I know when I first came over to Real, I thought, if I just tell people about the business model, they're all going to want to jump in. And I haven't found that to be the case. It just seems like something hits different for everybody. So for you guys, was it the collaboration? Was it the ownership of the company? Was it the residual income? Like, what made you choose Real versus other options that are out there, like starting your own brokerage or any of those things?
Yeah, I think kind of what she said, there's several different avenues of income. We didn't want to be stuck on the transaction wheel. We wanted to have good quality of life. We wanted to be able to collaborate with women. That's why we kind of created this CEO circle, so that we can really mentor and help other people who are coming into the business or looking for a network of women that are willing to share their knowledge. So the revenue stream, the stock options, just kind of everything, so that you have a wider portfolio of income coming in. Yeah.
Well, and that's, for me, we owned our independent brokerage here and we transitioned about 6 months ago. And to me, this business model is the only win-win I've ever found in real estate, because when we owned our brokerage, it was a win for us, and our agents had a place to hang their license, which was good. And at the end of the year, we would throw a Christmas party and give them a hoodie and a 1099. It was like, thanks for all the hard work, Right. And so now it's like our agents win, we win. It's total collaboration at its best. And it's something that I love. We would have never met were it not for Real. And I've met a lot of really cool people. So my daughter loves to tell me that I've got like radar. Like, I always can point out somebody, I'm like, that guy's kind of crazy. And then like years later, he'll end up being a nut case. Like, I think for you guys, I look to the future and I just see amazing things. I think you guys are powerful people. I think your vulnerability will be a key to your success. I think individuals getting into real estate, specifically women, I think being that example for them to say, hey, this is a struggle, but it's a one that leads to massive success and windfalls. I think you guys are going to do big, big things. And I think I'm going to look back to 2021 and go like, remember when I got them on my podcast?
That's
And,
right.
and now I can't even get a hold of them because they're so big. And I just think you guys are going to do great things. I'm excited to work with you guys. I'm excited to watch you grow, to help you grow in whatever way I can. I think you guys are going to do really, really big things. Just from kind of where we started, I think there's in real estate, we need more women like you to stand up and go like, hey, we don't have it all figured out, but we figured out some stuff. And we're going to share with the world what we figured out. And I think that's going to be a key to your success. So thank you so much for hopping on.
I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joe.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.